memory I have of the Addams Family is through the movie starring Christina Ricci, and I don't even think I fully watched that movie straight through. Netflix 2022's rendition of the Addams Family's titular character, Wednesday, brings a modern, fresh take to the franchise. Jenna Ortega drives it home with her spot-on performance as the gothic antisocial loner. The show opens at the Nancy Reagan High School, where we see an odd girl who looks like she just stepped out from one of those old black and white movies, slowly making her way down the hall, while a metaphorical dark cloud seems to follow her. This is the part that will draw us in. They make it a point to show everyone else wearing the brightest pastel and horribly mismatched outfits I have ever seen, so they really stand out from Wednesday. Ew. This girl has some nerve to be turning her nose up at Wednesday. She's the only person out of this entire group of females that look like they're in their mid-40s. That looks like she's 2 decades older than them. That's what people look like from high school now? Like, she's turning up her nose and I can actually smell the stink coming off of her, like unwashed punani wafting out from between shiny legs of the girl who sits next to me in class, who doesn't believe in using soap and also doesn't believe in shaving because it's somehow oppressive due to the patriarchy, and wanting to smell good and having good hygiene is only a masculine trait. I don't know why that sent me over the edge so bad, but here we are. All of them look busted. Ew, even the grown-ups. Go sip your coffee and die earlier. Jesus Christ. Wednesday finds her brother tied up with an apple in his mouth in her locker room, I don't really know whose locker it is. This boy gave me some nostalgia vibes because I could have sworn Dan Fogler played as Wednesday's father. I mean, I'm having some serious Mandela effect vibes over here because I could have sworn there was a modern version of the Addams Family where Dan Fogler played the Addams Family's father. I even told my husband this, and he said, nope, that guy never played it. It might have been a parody. I remember him having this vampiric looking wife and him in his suit with a little bit of lighter makeup on his face to make him look like he's undead, and trying but failing to scold Wednesday or something. It's possible I'm getting Fantastic Beasts mixed up with this, but I could have sworn. Anyway, the reason why this kid triggered it is because he looks like the spitting image of Dan Fogler for some reason. Not gonna lie, Dan Fogler was an attractive man. When you look at people like Anya Taylor-Joy, young Denzel Washington, and Henry Cavill, and something inside you just stirs no matter what your orientation is. Dan Fogler is one of those people. I remember when I was smaller and I would see him appear in a movie and I always instantly blushed like, god damn, he's a beautiful man. Anyway, Wednesday, while trying to untie her brother, gets a vision of what happened to him and sees the people who did this to him. She then decides to make an ever-loving point that nobody is allowed to bully or torture her brother except for her, and so she abruptly walks to the pool room to confront the bullies.
Yo, Dalton, look! Pixley's sister!
A point that should be made is that it only seems as though in these types of shows that bullies are overbearingly mean. There are very rare cases where people are this daft and act this exaggeratedly when they're bullying. Most of the bullying that happens is a lot more digital, virtual, and backstabbing.
Hey, freak! This is a close practice.
The only person who gets to torture my brother is me.
So she decides to accomplish this by tossing a swarm of ravenous piranhas into the pool, which immediately charge everyone in it. But wait, nobody notices that she was holding 2 big giant bags with fish in them when she walked up? Nobody saw her walking into the pool room with them? They are specific fish that many people can identify even if they're not fish people. Nobody noticed this, especially knowing the kind of person that she is and what she usually does? Okay. Wait, let's run that back. Wait, so the fish rip right through that bag the moment they were dropped in the water. They didn't say water, sorry. You mean they had the ability to rip through the bag the entire time? Are these fish under some sort of spell of hers? Are they smart enough to understand that if they ripped through the bag when they were out of the pool, that they would fall onto the floor? I don't think fish have that level of intelligence, which begs the question, why did they only now decide to rip out of the bag? Do they sense a change in pressure directly outside the plastic bag barrier? I mean, it's great for dramatic effect, but It makes better sense that they crawl out of the opening of the bag than to just rip through it when they're in the water and there's already an opening to swim through. And that the other piranhas are swimming through, especially when you consider, like, how would you catch them in the first place? They would have to be in the water, whether it's a little net or a bag that you're using, they'd still be in the water while you're trying to scoot them out. Why didn't they rip out of it then when you're trying to catch them? You know what I'm saying? And nobody realizes, and nobody saw the bags. They were literally, look, they were literally in front of her. Nobody saw them? They were literally in front. What? Did they think they were her pets? I guess they only realized what she was doing when she held them up and spoke menacingly like an anime protagonist who was about to show his enemy the power that the enemy didn't even know he really had, even though everybody and every other enemy has been warning this specific enemy that the protagonist is gonna fight of this protagonist's power. Anyways, one of the piranhas got lucky and ended up choking down a deep throat dish of human nuts. See, it was so dramatic. And honestly, well done, and the music really made it. But as she's walking up the concrete stairs to the pool room, all I kept thinking is how much of a hazard that is. Like, I know people are supposed to dry themselves off after coming out of the pool, but most people are still dripping wet. Let's be honest. Nobody considered that it's going to be a lawsuit waiting to happen if while the concrete steps are wet, somebody goes tits up, causing them to bash their heads on the edge of the concrete stairs and hemorrhage on school grounds. If that was the first thing that I thought of, I don't get why individuals who receive a substantial amount of money from parents who send their children to the school would not cover their asses in this manner, since, you know, their clients have the power to easily end them if something remotely trivial happens to their precious little nuggets of gold. Anyway, this is the best part of the entire show, and this is honestly what sold me, because I had the misconception that the show was going to be about Wednesday living her life as a weird oddity in a normal school full of rich people. Big letdown, because she gets expelled shortly after this. And granted, since this was a review of the first episode of the first season, me writing this at the time I was only 3 episodes under, this segment was honestly the best part of the show thus far. I don't know why the guy who got bit didn't continue trying getting out of the pool when you know that there's a school of hungry chomping piranhas after you. Do these people not have a survival hyperdrive switch like every normal person should have? A piranha just bit off one of my nasty nuts. So let me leave my lower body in the pool so the rest of the piranha can have my other nut as a chaser. All to the tune of the French song, people murder other people too. Also, why did the piranha not eat the rest of him? They went out of their way to swim up his trunks to chow down on his ball. So sweet. She did that to avenge her little brother. Wednesday's parents enroll her into a boarding school at a special place called Hogwarts. Sorry, not Hogwarts, because she almost got charged with attempted murder. And Frankenstein's looking good though. Even though it was refreshing to see Catherine Zeta-Jones again and the funny fluffy-faced Hispanic guy that's always a comedic relief and whose name I can never remember, even if you spam it 1,000 times in the comments. The real star of the show, who basically carries the show on her back, is Wednesday, which makes sense because it is her show. I don't know why I feel the need to say that. Maybe it's because I'm so over the moon that a show, being called the name of the character, actually focuses in on the character and doesn't require cameos or other characters to help carry the show or keep us interested. You know, I wish there are a lot of shows like that. Usually they are. Well, anyway, Reginald the Vampire also does that very well. Wednesday's parents are very lovey-dovey, and she wants to be nothing like them. Reasons I gather is because she does not want to be vulnerable and end up in a relationship and have fifis. What I do like is that Wednesday is like an onion. Every segment of the show that proceeds allows us to get a layer peeled back into her personality and what makes her tick while still managing to allow the character to keep a close guard of herself. After being expelled from her Normie school, her parents try to encourage her to have an open mind about her experience at Hogwarts. Nevermore Academy, the school for gifted or special children. As a matter of fact, this is where her parents met each other. Meanwhile, a camper who was given a ride by a bug-eyed lady is getting turned into mincemeat somewhere else. Whoever that actor is, he was told that he had one job and he made sure he acted the hell out of it. And that one job was to look as scared as someone seeing their ass as their facial reflection after taking a poopy so hard it turned into piss. Aside from this reminding me of Primal, I totally got some Twilight vibes, and the vibe is totally confirmed when you consider the close-ups of Wednesday's face, looking eerily like the close-ups and eerily overdramatic moody stares of Edward Cullen from Twilight. The parents leave behind Thing, the reanimated severed hand, to keep an eye on Wednesday. I like how this character is just its own character, even though it's a freaking hand, but he has so much character building and personality. Meanwhile, sheriff and deputy try to figure out what killed the unfortunate dude who decided to have someone drop him off in the middle of nowhere in a creepy kooky forest adjacent to a school full of what everyone says are monsters. It's almost like he was offering himself up as a sacrifice or something. We also meet a creepy, slender Cruella de Vil version of Brienne of Tarth, aka Principal Weems, who also tries to convince Wednesday that she's going to have a grand old time here.
Should we go meet your new roommate?
Wednesday has to share a room with an undeveloped werewolf character who refers to herself as a kitten constantly and who's got the room that they're staying in looking like a Photoshop color wheel. Her name is Enid and she's also the school gossip. Oh my god. I find it absolutely maddening. In every single one of these YA shows, the new introverted girl always has to be approached by the overly friendly and annoying quirky fun person who knows everyone and everyone's business and who has a blog or takes photos for the school. Like, is this trope ever gonna go away? It's a very cheesy tool of exposition and it gets old. What am I talking about? It is old. Enid tells Wednesday about the 4 group types of cliques. We know darn well this is for our benefit. There's the fangs, being the vampires, the furs, being the werewolves, which is what she is, the scales, being the sirens, because of their scales, and the stoners, are the snakeheads or gorgons. Creatures that have the ability to turn you into stone immediately. Is there a failsafe to some of these people's powers? I mean, to be fair, Hogwarts also had a bunch of people there of varying skills that had the ability to kill each other, but I just can't help feeling like everybody else here is a little bit outmatched.
I'm gonna believe the dirt I heard about your new roommate. She eats human flesh. Totally chowed down on that kid she murdered. You better watch your back.
Quite the contrary.
I like how he came in at the right time and did the old, I'm gonna awkwardly talk about the new girl in a negative way and not notice that she's right behind me or right behind you. This was also an introduction to the stoners since we didn't get the chance to have that done ahead of time. Seriously, if it were not for the actor doing such a great job at playing Wednesday, I would have already given up on this garbage dialogue.
Oh, you know, you should really get on Insta, Snapchat, and TikTok.
I don't know why, but I was honestly expecting Wednesday to reach out and strangle this frickin' girl. I don't know how she's able to stand and stomach all of this.
I find social media to be a soul-sucking void of meaningless affirmation.
Unbelievable! Can't believe it!
Anyway, Wednesday's family gives the last goodbye, and her mom seems hurt by some of the things that she says. It's so sweet and also heartbreaking to see her mom crying as she leaves her daughter behind at Nevermore.
What the hell did you do to my room? Dividing our room equally.
Is this the same bitch that was smiling in Wednesday's face and all excited to be roommates only to immediately act like she's not going to be sharing the room with said roommate? The entitlement. I think what Wednesday did was entirely fair and she was nice enough to do everything very neatly. Did little Miss Glitterpop honestly think that she was going to have the entire room to herself? Delusional. And maybe she does need a dose of Wednesday in her life.
If you're going to gossip about me, at least spell my name correctly.
You mean emojis? It's how people express their feelings. You know, I realize that's a foreign concept to you.
When I look at you, the following emojis come to mind. Rope, shovel, hole.
Wednesday says her opinion, which comes off as very mean, and crafts criticism, and Little Miss Werewolf attempts to dance the pain away. However, we forget that she's a werewolf until Wednesday gets fed up with the music and tries to step over on her side.
Turn that off. This is your final warning. Ah!
Don't mess with me. This kitty's got claws, and I'm not afraid to use them.
Again, having the word wolf in the word werewolf does in fact mean they transform into wolves, does it not? She continually refers to herself as a cat, and I am pretty sure there's a meaning to this. A redhead Christina Ricci, aka former Wednesday, welcomes Wednesday to the dorm. Wednesday immediately seeks to dethrone the queen bee Bianca, because every single one of these YA shows must have the dominant mean girl trope. But Wednesday oversteps and gets her ass handed to her.
Your face finally got that splash of color it so desperately needed.
In the clinic, Wednesday meets Rowan, the guy who's down in his luck because he was an outcast with the normies and he's still an outcast with a school full of outcasts. And he thinks Wednesday is the new him. After walking out from the clinic in the rain, a stone gargoyle is being pushed off a building and almost lands on Wednesday, but she is saved by Xavier Thor, popular girl's ex-boyfriend. Again with the worn out trope of the new introvert girl going to a new school, clashing heads with the popular girl, and her popular boyfriend, who dumped her, ends up liking the new introverted girl because she's not like his ex-girlfriend, the popular girl who's extremely vain and manipulative. And then the popular girl goes to some psychopathic and sociopathic lengths to try and end the new girl's life. Sound familiar? Sound like every other YA show we've ever watched in the history of time? It's like every single one of these shows and movies are like a carbon copy of each other to the point where it's annoying. But wait, he remembers her because she actually saved his life a long time ago when they were kids, and she doesn't remember him, but he remembers her, so now he feels a special connection. Ooh. Wednesday finds out that Thing has been spying on her for her parents, and she threatens to lock him in a drawer unless he swears fealty to her, and he quickly caves. He's a mother-flapping hand. Brienne of Tarth drives Wednesday to her mandatory psych session, which she escapes from very easily. The whole psych session reminds me of a fan fiction I did of Land Before Time with Sarah. I don't want to give spoilers as to what it's about, why Sarah needed to go to these sessions, but it's a long story. Anyway, when Wednesday is escaping, she bumps into a guy, and she has a vision about that guy's death. She then goes into a coffee shop and meets a guy whose help she needs to escape, and she agrees to help him with his broken machine, an expression machine, that only she can fix because the instructions just happen to be in Italian, and she knows Italian. LOL. I'm laughing because she doesn't really like using technology, so she's relying on all the education she has. When the dude and everybody else that works there uses technology. For the love of God. This is the age of Snapchat and Instagram and all that stuff, but yet he didn't once consider to look up YouTube for any tutorial videos? If you're gonna repeatedly bring up technology in your show being a tool that you can use, then you have to be consistent in its availability and existence throughout your show. Talking about people blogging or making videos in Snapchat filters is something that frequently happens in the show, yet nobody uses it when extremely applicable.
What's wrong with your machine?
It's a temperamental beast with a mind of its own.
I was actually waiting for a witty remark from Wednesday along the lines of, you're not going to get your fancy technology that you rely on for all your knowledge that you don't actually possess unless you have that very device in your possession. For someone who is antisocial, Wednesday does a hell of a lot better interacting with people, coming up with solutions than actual regular people do who have everything at their disposal. She talks to people to get what she wants and interacts with people to get favors and helps them, is willing to get her hands dirty in order to get what she wants out of it. You know, the way our grandparents and parents used to do?
Yeah, I know what a quad is, but I mean, spoiler alert, the espresso machine's having a seizure, so all we have is drip.
But drip is for people who hate themselves and know their lives have no real purpose or meaning.
I honestly don't understand what that's about. What's a drip? I thought drip meant clothes, but if she means the way to make coffee, the machine she fixes is more advanced tech, isn't it? Is she not against tech, or is it okay if someone else is using it to make something for her to drive her around? How convenient. And boy, I guess she's one of the entitled ones too, because God forbid you make coffee the way most people can afford to.
Mind of its own, and it doesn't help that the instructions are Italian.
I need a tri-wing screwdriver and 4mm Allen wrench.
Wait, you read Italian?
Like it's a mystical lost language that only the elves have access to. What the fuck? Oh my god. What is this dialogue? Are you Italian? Oh no. Oh sweet Lord. Yo, dude, I'm actually really starting to enjoy the show because of how utterly ridiculous it is. Just to show show how awesome the character is, they have 3 older guys that are way bigger than her waltz into the shop because they don't like freaks from the Hogwarts school. The town talk is that the kids who come from there are weird, freaky, or unsettling. My thing is, what if they're serial killers or something? You know, the kids that go to that school. Or they come from a long line of freaking cannibals. Why would you want to pick on them and then risk all of them swarming you? Or have them target your family or something so they can eat you and you end up on their dinner plate? Seems like a very poor choice when it comes to survival, but anyway. These hulking dudes decide to pick on Wednesday, and they're called pilgrims because they work at Pilgrim World or theme park or something like that. It doesn't really matter because all of this is an allegory. The coffee guy, aka potential new love interest, third character, the love triangle, as every YA show must have, steps in and tries to help her. But Wednesday's got this.
Been with the Normie?
I've never found one that could handle me.
Ew, what? What is this? What is this dialogue? What in the world? He's ready to freaking beat her up. You ever been with a pilgrim? Not one that can handle me. Commence the freaking beatdown. What the hell? Oh my god, I'm getting whiplash with this show, dude. Like, I don't even understand which way that it's like there's a crossroads, like 3 different crossroads, and 3 different people at the ends of those crossroads with their versions of dialogue for the show, and they all went pew, and it met in the intersection. It's just this tossed salad of dialogue. I don't even understand the motivation for why the characters say some of the stuff that they end up saying. It's so hilarious. All Wednesday says is boo. Didn't touch him. She just said boo and he flinched. And because the guy whose father owns the theme park, who she made flinch, kinda steps back and recoils a little bit, the guy behind her does the classical, we're going to beat main character up without knowing that the main character actually had a history of knowing how to fight and murder people. Hand-grabbing shoulder move. To this day, I've never gotten the purpose of why characters did that in movies. In every single movie or show where there's a main character who can fight or has to take care of themselves for whatever reason, the guy behind them always grabs their shoulder and tries to turn them around. Why? If your whole idea is to beat this person up, shove them and push them off guard. When you shove someone forward or even kick the back of their knees, they have no choice but to go down. Even more so, kick the back of their freaking knees. Then shove, because that would have been great, because it's very hard to recover from that. That's something that I used to do to my friends all the time and annoyed the shit out of them. I would walk up behind them, and especially the really tall guys, I would use my knee to bump the back of their knee, causing them to collapse. I know it's probably not funny to a lot of people, and I know it was super annoying to them, because they were never expecting it, and it's super embarrassing. And even if they were expecting it, it's kind of something it's very hard to control. I've even had them do it to me a few times to try and make them feel better, and it happened every time, even though I was ready and waiting for it, and they were cracking up. I'm like, it feels good, doesn't it? And all you hear them doing is laughing. Yeah, that's why I did it. And it's always hilarious to recall what a human body looks like when it gets folded, like literally. Anyway, as expected, and honestly, as not expected, Wednesday apparently has super strength and is able to beat up and throw all 3 of these guys. And honestly, like, some of the hits, this is a very strange way they filmed this, because as she's getting ready to get up and kick him, I don't know, he's super far away, and that's not her. That's not even her, bro. I'm sorry. Sorry, headphone users, but... Oh, Jesus, this show is gonna be the death of me, I swear. What the hell is that? Oh my god, anyway, her mini transformation has occurred, but she gets up and it's a freaking Filipino girl. What in the world? Okay. Where's her foot? Look how far away he is. This was edited so badly. Look how far away he is. He moves before her foot even. I am so confused. Okay, what are you doing? That's her foot. Okay, that's her foot right there. He's all the way over there. I get the camera's supposed to make it look like her foot hit him, but it's so unbelievable because you can tell, like, first of all, you can't even see anything. You can tell, you can follow the foot. See this little area right here, this little fuzzy blurry thing, that's the foot. And they do it fast enough so you can't see what's happening, but it's clear he doesn't get hit. Look at that. Whee! And he's just like, oh, you hit me, I'm gonna fall now. Oh my god. My rib cage on this freaking marble. So she's able to body all three of these guys. She didn't need no old boy's help, because of course she doesn't. I don't know why, but somehow seeing her physically body these three guys isn't as satisfying as seeing her use her mind to psych out people or torture them using fear. I don't know, it just seems very out of character for Wednesday for me. But then again, what do I know? I only watched the Christina Ricci Addams Family one, and I didn't even fully watch that movie, but I did watch most of Wednesday's scenes, and she didn't strike me as the ass-kicking type. She struck me as the, I'm gonna pull a dead possum out of my pocket and slit its throat and then use its tail as a handle as I whirl it around my head and spray everybody in the room with the blood spurting violently out of it type.
So where do you learn those kung fu moves?
My uncle taught me. He spent 5 years in the Tibetan monastery.
Was he a monk?
Prisoner.
Okay. Just then, Coffee Boy's father, who happens to be the sheriff, what a time that you walked in, huh? And yes, he is the Coffee Boy's father, because of course he is, comes in and finds it unbelievable, as anyone would, that little Miss Tiny Wednesday took down all three of these boys. However, he becomes a little guarded when Brienne of Tarth comes in and calls her name Addams.
Gomez Addams is your father? That man belongs behind bars for murder. Guessing the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
What? What in the bitch did you say, Dad? The dialogue in some of these characters. Oh my god. I want to slap somebody. The writers, the characters, the actors, I don't know. I don't know what Wednesday's father did, but how are you going to come into a coffee shop or shop, whatever this is, where your son just told you that they were harassing her, all three of them, and she put them in their place?
They were harassing a customer and she put them in their place.
As they are lying on the ground, still very much alive, by the way, and then just because her father is wanted for murder, or so you say, all of a sudden, the apple doesn't fall very far from the tree because she's a smaller female and she defended herself against three guys who were possibly trying to beat her up or kill her. What's wrong with the characters in these programs? Did the same writers who wrote Twilight did the show? Because it's starting to feel like it, beat for beat, with the exception of everyone not swarming over the main character as though her farts are made of unicorn saliva. Brienne of Tarth drives Wednesday back and encourages her that she needs to make friends, not enemies. They see an accident down the road, and it happens to be the same one that Wednesday had a premonition about when she bumped into that guy with the apple. Brienne of Tarth wonders what it's about, and Wednesday tells her that the guy is dead and he broke his neck. She wonders how Wednesday even knows that from the angle that they're at, because she certainly can't see it. I'm so sorry, I'm laughing, but maybe I'm a dumbass and I don't understand biology or something, or human anatomy, but when your neck is broken, does it also extend twice its length? His neck is broken, right? Okay. Just imagine if it were not. Look at him right now and imagine his neck being right side up again. Just imagine him being like, oh, all right, you know what? My neck is not broken anymore. Imagine that from the angle that you can see him stretching it up. It would look like a mother slapping freakazoid giraffe person. This looks so unrealistic, it's comedic. I forgive it. It's a horror comedy, you know? Way to save yourself from the harsh criticism of the death design decisions by tacking on the word comedy at the end, because it really is hilarious because of how outlandish it is. Most of the gory scenes in the show look really good, but some of them just look ridiculous. Man out here died and transformed into a flaccid dick. I really love the rendition of Painted Black as Wednesday is playing on the cello. It almost seems like every modern show nowadays has a rendition of that. It's also cool to see this side of her. Wednesday's werewolf roommate meets her outside, and Wednesday asks her why she's not wolfing out with the other werewolves at the moon.
Because I can't. That's all I got. My mom says some wolves are late bloomers, but I've been to the best lichenologist.
Mom probably lied to you, and your father's probably not your father. I know they're doing this just to make the characters relatable, that they don't fit in with their family, so Wednesday can eventually form a connection with them. That's also probably why she's owning the cat title. Enid later tells her, you know you suck at cheering up people. Do you even know what crying is? Then they give us an interesting backstory of Wednesday. When she was younger, she had a pet scorpion named Nero, and this is actually pretty cool. He's so cute. She's walking him, and they have a good relationship. The scorpions go on long walks like that. Wouldn't they need to stop every once in a while so their brain can catch up with their legs? Anyway, these evil kids picked on Wednesday and hold her down so she can watch them run over her scorpion with their bikes. What really broke my heart was the fact that Nero was ready to square up with them. You could see the moment when he's on the street and he's like holding his claws up. In a way, it's like he was trying to protect Wednesday or fight for her honor. Maybe not. We were just putting her own personality on it. But he went out, not in fear, but ready to fight. And unfortunately, his body was no match for a freaking speeding bicycle with kids the size of teenage triceratops riding it. To really drive it home, the second kid, even bigger than the first, sorry, it's not funny, but they rode it over a second time. The hell is wrong with primates, bro? Like, I don't like imagining this, but, you know, to put it in her shoes, imagine some evil kids doing this to your pet with their car and laughing while they hold you down and make you watch. What sick freaking psycho. Like, I would go to jail, bro. Yep, for a very long time, I would go to jail because someone's throat was getting split that day. Someone's jugular would have been bitten out that day, primal style. I would have spoken the language that the primates understand, and that's taking my teeth and ripping out someone's neck or biting someone's nose off their face or shoving my fingers down their eye sockets or up their ass. Something was happening that day, but I know I'd be going to jail. Anyway, Wednesday said she cried her little black heart out, and since her tears didn't fix anything, that's why she vowed never to cry again, which is obviously foreshadowing for her crying later.
Holy shit!
That was a great reaction, gotta admit. Well, thing on Wednesday's behalf, it goes to Coffee Boy's house, and guess who's using technology? But it's okay because these are desperate situations, as Wednesday says.
You're willing to drive me to the train station, I can make it worth your while.
I'm in. And no charge. Consider it a freebie.
Why?
Because I wish I was going with you.
This is obviously foreshadowing because I just want to go with her. He obviously likes her, but I think he also has a secret. And I don't blame him because, you know, who wouldn't? She's different. But I already have a feeling at this moment, by way of my predictability meter, that this goofy guy is probably the monster. They attend the Harvest Festival, where Brienne of Tarth is waiting to creepily observe Wednesday and ensure that she does not escape. This huge woman was friends with Morticia, Wednesday's mother. So keeping an eye on Wednesday is kind of like her doing a favor for her mom. Xavier, the siren dude, obviously likes Wednesday, and herein lies the dreaded love triangle that every single one of these shows must have. With Twilight, it was Jacob and Edward pining over Bella. With Vampire Diaries, it was Damon and Stefan pining over Elena. In Beauty and the Beast, it was Gaston and the Beast pining over Belle. In The Hunger Games, it was Peeta and Gale pining over Katniss Everdeen, etc. And it becomes even more maddening when you realize that within the love triangle is another love triangle kind of etched into it from either side. Like, two guys are into one girl, but there are girls on the outside that are into each of the guys that are practically invisible to them.
It's exhausting.
And I know it's based on reality, but young adult fiction usually amps us up by 150% to the point where it makes no freaking sense. Yes, I've been in the same situation multiple times because I was stupid, and since I only liked hanging out with guys because they like video games and sports and competition and all the things I like, I foolishly thought that we could just be friends. Come to find out, when my husband kind of brought my mind to it, that every single one of my male friends had a crush on me. And sooner or later, they say something or get hurt when I get a boyfriend outside of the group, but they still like hang around waiting for me to break up with said boyfriend. So I get it, like a lot of other females, I'm a walking conundrum. With the way that the young adult fiction genre does it, okay, now that I'm thinking about it, it's scarily accurate. God damn it. I hate myself.
You should know I'm waiting for someone.
Oh yeah? Who's the lucky guy? Or girl?
What does it matter to you?
Didn't mean to interrupt.
You're not.
Oh my god, it's so cringe. Jesus Christ. Like, okay, I know it's based on reality, but the dialogue sometimes is so freaking weird. Wednesday gets someone to distract Brienne of Tarth by just giving her a freaking panda bear that she won, and that's enough time to have Wednesday teleport away from the area. As Coffee Boy tries to usher her out of there so she can escape from the bully boys who didn't learn their lesson, Wednesday bumps into Rowan. Occasionally, when she touches someone, she receives strange visions concerning the individual she touched. In the vision, Rowan is killed by something that she cannot see. Actually having a heart of gold, and not a completely black one, Wednesday chases after Rowan and tries to save him from whatever's going to happen to him. Come to find out that his power is telekinesis. He unwillingly puts Wednesday against a tree and informs her that he must kill her, since she will bring doom to the entire school. He was warned about Wednesday by his mother, very powerful seer. Tragically, Rowan is a hero because he's doing what he thinks is right in the attempt to save everybody else. But unfortunately, he's too late, and he isn't successful, because a big-ass hunchback Notre Dame-looking troll thing saves Wednesday and tears him apart. Like I said, I think the monster is Coffee Boy because his dad happens to be the sheriff, and that's usually how these things go. His dad wants to kill this monster, and dad also strongly believes that the monster is from Hogwarts. Sorry, Nevermore. And it would be poetic justice for someone who's considered a normie to be the monster when the father doesn't like said freaks. His father will eventually have to accept that his son is different, and as a result, everyone will have to do the same. They'll kind of live happily ever after, but there'll be another thing or monster that doesn't like him from some other freaking international group. You know how it goes. See, we're led to believe that because the school is loaded with people who can transform into monsters or have special skills, one of them is responsible for the murders in the area, but is actually one of the very average, well-liked residents of the town. And he's probably gonna be an outcast too because he's the only one killing people and he can't control it. I mean, I would be very surprised if I'm wrong. Yeah, right? You believe me? Pretty predictable. I would be very surprised if that's not the case. Anyway, because of all of this, Wednesday decides, you know what? She wants to remain at the school to unravel the riddle because she cannot leave anything unresolved. It's just how her brain operates. Okay, so this show is, different, but the same. It has all the building blocks of a typical YA show. The only element that has changed is that Wednesday is a goth chick, and she's more extroverted in terms of wanting to prove that she's superior to the people around her. But it's very clear that she's only trying to protect herself from feeling anything when she actually in fact does care about people, but in order to not make herself vulnerable, she insults them or pretends that she doesn't. The only thing I think is working for this show right now is the fact that it's about Wednesday Addams, and because the actor playing her is doing such a phenomenal job. If it was any other show, I would not watch it. All the other characters honestly piss me off and are so underwhelming compared to her. I see what the show writers did too. They wanted to get people hooked, so they used famous characters, or a famous character, from an angle that has never been done before. And then in the first episode, they give you a mystery that you have to stick around to figure out because human psychology does not like unanswered questions. Pretty sure I already know the answer, but for most people, they're gonna want to know. They're gonna want to see if they were right. They're also gonna want to stick around for the guaranteed moment when Wednesday is gonna start having feelings for someone. If you like the Addams Family and you like female gothic main characters, or even a Sunday, this is definitely a show for you. Thanks so much for watching. This has been Ultiori. You ask, we answer.